do it. Okay, so anyway, let's get started here. My name is Bob. I'm a compulsive overeater. I'm an alcoholic, and I want people to like me. Well, anyway, the topic today, you really like this topic because it's directly related to, I know a lot of people here, the addiction to food. The topic actually is called food addiction. And I have in parentheses right here in front of me, right next to it, a spiritual solution. Now, we always talk in this program about, we decided that the code word here, the mission is going to be did the light come on. So we needed that transformation towards our addictions, towards life, and towards everything, because step one said we're powerless. But anyway, it's always, it's interesting. It's always the basic things that we forget. When we come in this program, a lot of times people work this program, the 12-step program, and they forget it's all about the steps. That's the name of the program, a 12-step program. The same way I found here, dignity of choice. In Overeaters Anonymous, they have this pamphlet. And in the pamphlet, it's really interesting because, we always talk about diets don't work. But I noticed like a lot of people, when we work the 12-step program, still trying to take this self-will back. But when you go to the very basics, here's something that is very basic in Overeaters Anonymous. I'm just going to read a few sentences, and it will open up your mind to what this is all about, this transformation, the spiritual awakening, our vision with the food, the change in thinking. Again, the diets don't work. We need a new design for living. We needed to have that transformation towards our addiction. Of trying to control it, trying to diet, trying all of these different things never work. It talks about all the different things we try to do. Even, they have that program, 600 Pounder, where people have stomach surgery, and it says right in the beginning, 95% of this fails. And again, I always say it's related to everything in my life. It's not only with the food, it's with drugs, alcohol, it's with my daily living. And that's why we go back to the steps. Basically, it says step one said we're powerless. Step two said we're insane. But here, listen to this. This is what it says here. Starting from one of the very first paragraph, it's called Dignity of Choice from Overeaters Anonymous. It says, OA offers us recovery from compulsive overeating on 3 levels. It says physical, emotional, spiritual. All of these things, physical, emotional, and spiritual. The basis for stopping our compulsive eating behaviors and staying stopped. The whole key here, and it says here, to change our emotional behaviors and staying stopped is, and it has right after that, it tells you the solution. It says, is spiritual growth. Spiritual growth. But everything that we do in life, and when I grew up and the way the society is, and especially with these billion-dollar diet programs that everybody's on, there's not one word about spiritual growth. It's again trying to do it through the human will, self-will run riot, trying to control things, trying to have that control. Our best thinking got me here. So then we wonder, and I know it's not just me or statistics. I know in your life, 95% of the time it failed, right? And the few people who it does succeed at this, they're miserable. So they might as well go out. They're so miserable they want to die, so they might as well go out and have something to eat. So we have a better way here, spiritual transformation, our transformation towards our addiction and the food. So here we go. So it says here, let me read this one here. Overeater Anonymous is a fellowship of compulsive overeaters. Okay, we understand that. We have the compulsion overeat in Overeaters Anonymous, just like in AA, alcohol, or Narcotics Anonymous has to do with drugs, who practice a 12-step program. The key here is practicing a 12-step program. Again, I can't overemphasize that because I was in AAOA for a long time before I started to realize, it's interesting. They'd have the steps in front of the room when you look at them, but guess what? I never was able to comprehend that I had to take it in, and that was the solution. I always thought, well, the steps are nice. I see them up there, and okay, so some people have this thing with this higher consciousness or whatever it is, but I want that food plan. I know I can do it. Everything else in my life I try to do. Hey, and look where it got me, right? My best thinking got me to I was depressed, upset, I was overweight, I was an alcoholic, I was a drug addict, all of these isms and all of these problems, and I was at the jumping off point. We all were. I'm sure most of you here were, if not even now, depressed and anxious. But again, as I always say, by the end of this talk here and the end of this meeting, we're going to get that spiritual solution. It's right here. It's interesting. I always say this. It's so simple. It's in. I'm reading a few. I'm going to just read a few sentences from this book pamphlet here. Do we have to go any further? Do we need 100 meetings? Do we need 100 sponsees? Do we have to go talk to 100 people about the situation with our addictions and problems with other things? Step 1 said we're powerless, and you can put everything and anything in there. But the whole point is this. Look, the whole thing is very simple, and it's going to tell us here. It says, and it says in the next sentence, just as alcoholics join AA to stop drinking alcohol, we join OA to stop eating compulsively. Okay, so here we go. Another few sentences here, and it's going to tell us. So if you listen here, this is the solution. Design for living transformation. A plan, however, is only the beginning. They tell you right here in a basic pamphlet. I got this off the internet. It's called Dignity of Choice from Overeaters Anonymous. You get it right off the internet. And I'm reading just on the first page here. So but again, when people read this, and when I've gone to a lot of OA, AA meetings, all different types of meetings, but you don't hear this message there. The basic message is telling you here on the first page of their Dignity of Choice pamphlet, they're telling you here, a plan, however, is only the beginning. But how many of us, it's the beginning, the end, and everything. How many of us do the diet program, spend we spend thousands of dollars and all of these things to try to resolve this issue? We had to think it's more than just letting go or higher consciousness of these 12 steps, changing our thinking. The other way doesn't work. If I don't change my thinking, I went for a year without, with a very strict, it's called the HOW, gray sheet of Overeaters Anonymous. I went, and I was miserable every day. I was miserable, and one day that it came where I just relapsed, and that was it. Now I have a change of thinking, a transformation, designed for living, looking at the food, seeing it differently, that clarity. And I always hold up the water. I have it right here, actually. It all's about that clarity. This alone, the drinks alone are thousands of calories, some of these drinks, hundreds of calories. So that alone, the drinks alone, if you have that transformation thinking towards drinking something from God, healthy, our body's God's temple. And I have also here an orange, an apple. I mean, these are things from God, the amazing, amazing thing. And when you look at even an orange and an apple, this has to do with the psychic change with anything in life. We have that perception change. We don't need those man-made synthetic things that they make to get. We're talking before we started the meeting, we're talking about the companies, and they're making these foods to get us addicted. I have pamphlets here about how they have psychologists and scientists trying to figure out how to get us addicted. So we're living in a great lie, and doctor's opinion says knowing the truth from the false. This is the truth here. This is God-given, the water too. The other is false, just like our thinking. We get crazy. So the answer to our problem with this food addiction is to get that clarity, transformation.